Now, as the race for White House narrows down, CNN News 18's Zakka Jacob reports from Washington, D.C. Take a look at this report.
So we're here outside the White House, and it is the biggest election seen in a generation. It's easily the closest election between Kamala Harris of the Democrat Party and Republican Donald Trump. It is a fight to the finish. It hasn't gotten this close in a US election since Bush versus Gore, and that was almost a generation ago. That was 24 years ago in the year 2000, which ultimately went up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court decided who was the president then. This time too, there seems to be a lot of concern because the Trump campaign feels like the momentum is with them. The polls seem to be showing that the gap is narrowing, both in the popular vote and certainly in the battleground states, and that is the important thing, because ultimately if you have to win the presidency, you have to win the battleground states. The 7 battleground states, the 3 Great Lakes, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and then of course the Sun Belt states of Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, and North Carolina. Trump seems to be doing well in the Sun Belt states. Most of the polls seem to be putting him ahead by a point or 2. That, of course, would take him just inches closer to the 270 mark, which is required for him to win the Electoral College. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, is holding on by a wafer-thin, less than 1% margin in the Great Lakes states, which is Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. For Kamala Harris, there is no other path to victory other than to win these 3 Great Lakes states, and she has to win Pennsylvania. It is the biggest of the battleground states. It's 19 Electoral College votes. If she does not win Pennsylvania, then she has to win all of the other battleground states. She has to win 6 out of 7. And that, at this point of time, at least according to the opinion polls, doesn't seem to be the case. She's trailing Trump in most of the Sun Belt states. So the clearest path to victory for Kamala Harris is to win the 3 Great Lakes states, the Blue Wall states as it's known, the old Rust Belt states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Between them, they have 40-odd Electoral College votes, and that would just pip her past 270 Electoral College votes, which is what you need to win the White House and to become the next president of the United States. This is, like I said, the most closely fought election in the last generation here in the United States. If Kamala Harris wins, she could go on to become the first woman president of the United States, thereby making history. If Donald Trump wins, he gets a second term, something that he feels was stolen away from him in 2020 by Joe Biden. But, like I said, the polls are virtually in a dead heat when it comes to the popular vote. It boils down to the half a dozen or so battleground states, where again, right now the polls are suggesting it's absolutely evenly split between Harris retaining the Blue Wall states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Trump doing relatively better in the Sun Belt states of Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, and North Carolina. Which way will this great American election go? That is something that we will know on the 5th of November.
Now, CNN News 18's Akansha Swaroop gets this report from Trump Tower in New York as political merch attracting customers globally. Take a look.
So there's nothing that the memorabilia of Donald Trump doesn't cover. You talk about a calendar, it's here. You talk about a case for your spectacles or goggles, it's here. And very interesting is this pen.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.
All right. So the pen also talks about the greatest president that God ever created. Well, that's Donald Trump and his memorabilia for you.
Now, as race to the White House heats up, CNN News 18's Akansha Swaroop reports on how Indian American votes continue to remain critical for the United States presidential election. Take a look.
What chai is for Indians is what coffee is for Americans. And to do Coffee Pe Charcha, in fact, I'm joined in by Jagdish Tiwani. Thank you so much, Mr. Tiwani, for joining in on Race for the White House. Let me, in fact, begin quickly by asking you about the phenomenal rise that this U.S. presidential race has seen of Indian Americans. On one hand, you've seen Kamala Harris as the Democratic presidential candidate. On the other hand, the Republicans had Vivek Ramaswamy, in fact, even a Nikki Haley. So have you seen something like this happen in other presidential races?
No, I've been here for more than 36 years. I've never seen like this. And this time, the most important thing is Indian Americans are taking so important part in this election. both in Democratic Party and Republican Party. So it's an amazing, and they are going to play a decisive role. Who is going to be the next president of America? Especially, like I told you, in the battleground state, there are 7 states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada.
Carolina.
Yes.
So why do you say that they'll be playing a decisive role, considering most of them are leaning towards the Democrats?
No,
or are they now also looking towards Republicans?
Till last election it was like that, but now I have seen slowly Republicans, Indian Americans are leaning towards Republican, especially the Trump. Since Trump was the first president, the number is increasing continuously.
Why so? Why is that happening?
Because they feel that Trump is pro-India, Trump is good for economics, finance. So they are, it's not only India, but they look at their finance also. He's good for the business.
The million-dollar question to end with: who is going to be better for India? Everybody wants to know in India. They keep asking me, is this going to be Kamala Harris or Donald Trump?
Yes, like you rightly said, Trump is openly supporting Hindus and Hindus in Bangladesh. So that's why more and more people, more and Indian Americans are pro-Republican now. But again, coming to that, this race is so tight. Even the experts cannot predict who's going to be the next president. I would say it will be a flip of coin. Till last moment, we will not come to know who is president. But again, saying that, whoever becomes the USA president, whether it's Trump or Kamala, they are going to have a good relationship with India, because this is new India under the leadership of our Prime Minister Modi, and America today needs India to be on their side, whether it is Trump or Harris.